Do a Google search of Assassin's Creed Valhalla and look at the images. It's here. When the clock struck midnight on December 1, something stirred over at the Freeform offices, where they readied themselves for another 25 days of their now iconic Christmas marathon. It happens every year, and they play mostly the same movies every year. But there's something especially comforting about the Freeform 25 Days of Christmas Marathon, which offers us the respite of sentimental classics and beloved cartoons. It kicks off today, with a jam-packed slate that includes Disney's A Christmas Carol, Miracle on 34th Street, the 2 Home Alone movies, Doctor of the 2 Eivor Possibilities, The One I'm Playing, Lady Eivor, doesn't pop up until the 3rd image, the art book cover. I find that really strange, because of the 2 possibilities, playing Eivor as a woman feels a lot more interesting and I feel like she's a much cooler protagonist. It's a situation much like the one with predecessor game, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, where Cassandra was cooler than Alexios, and yet barely got to feature on the game's promotional materials at all. Both Odyssey and Valhalla use the default male protagonist on the game cover, even though in both cases, the official tie-in material has chosen the woman as the canon protagonist. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and Deck the Halls. And there will plenty more Christmas classics to come. Maybe every Christmas isn't about celebrating family, friends, and holiday cheer, but testing how many times you can watch the Santa Claus series in a row. This reminds me of how it took Mass Effect 3 games to put fan-favorite Femme Shep, the portmanteau of female shepherd, denoting Jennifer Hale's fan-favorite performance as the commander, on the box of a Mass Effect game, and even then, it was after the male version. Now, I'm not blind to steps forward, the fact that there are cinematics for both now is pretty great, and I'm certainly happier with Ubisoft now than I was 6 years back when they said that animating a woman is too hard. But I definitely feel strange when I go to buy a game and find myself staring at the same screechy bearded guy the first no I'm never going to see once I start playing it. In a weird way, I feel like I did when the Burka skeleton was discovered to be a woman. Women were literally leading the charge in battle back then. Why not put them on the box now? Let the women lead. None of this is to say the performances of the male voice actors in these games weren't good, or even great. I think Mark Meer is amazing, and I've loved all the voice actors for the past 2 AC games, but I feel like, when Ubisoft has literally spent years putting male protagonist after male protagonist on the box art for their games, and has even gone so far as to reject the idea of solely a female lead for an AC game, it's worth discussing. Seriously, the Tim Allen starring movies are all over the Freeform 25 Days of Christmas Marathon, rivaling Home Alone for most featured title in this schedule. And it's not just Ubisoft, not even close, but since I'm using the AC games to discuss this trend they're going to get the lion's share of the discussion. Sorry, guys, but when BioWare is still being super quiet about its RPG franchises and Cyberpunk 2077 is only slightly better about putting the lady version of its protagonist V on the box or in any marketing, you're the go-to face for RPGs right now. And that face is overwhelmingly male, even on games where you have the choice to play either. I'm not saying ban all growly bearded screamy men from game art, but especially at a time when I know the art is there. Clearly it is. I can find pictures of Cassandra or Lady Eivor on art books, on alternate posters for the games. Why is it so hard to let the characters you're letting helm these games showcase them? It's gotten to the point where there's internal pressure on the development team to force a game to include a male protagonist in a narrative that clearly makes more sense if you play as a woman. Equal Opportunity Mayhem deserves recognition. The idea that female protagonists won't sell seems to me a self-created problem. But those films, as well as animated classics like Frosty the Snowman and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, all appear in this 25-long-day marathon. If you won't feature them, won't put them front and center on the box art, won't be unabashed and unapologetic about them, people will notice. Notably missing are the Harry Potter movies, once a frequent holiday staple at Freeform, but now over at Peacock after getting passed around several streaming platforms. But no fear, you can just watch Home Alone a million times. See the full schedule for Freeform's 25 Days of Christmas Marathon below. Tuesday, December 1, 10:30 a.m. Disney's A Christmas Carol, 12:30 p.m. Miracle on 34th Street 1994-3. 10 p.m. Home Alone, 5:40 p.m. Home Alone 2. Lost in New York, 8:20 p.m. Drive. And it feels extremely out of touch with what's happening with the franchise. Odyssey sold over 10 million units, and Valhalla is on track to do even better. If you're making them the official or semi-official protagonists anyway, clearly that's not hurting sales. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas 2001 2 Deck the Halls 2006 Wednesday, Dec. 2:07 a.m. It's a Very Merry Muppet Christmas 11 a.m. Miracle on 34th Street 1994 1:40 p.m. Deck the Halls 2006 3:45 p.m. Doctor Would putting Lady Eivor on the cover of the game really hurt its sales that much? To me it's like suggesting that Catherine Winnick's Lagertha hurt the show Vikings, instead of doing what it did and brought more people in to watch it. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas 2006 25 p.m. The Santa Claus 8:30 p.m. The Santa Claus 2:12 a.m. The Santa Claus 3. The Escape Clause Thursday, Dec. 3:07 a.m. The Simpsons Christmas Episodes Marathon 10:30 a.m. Disney's Fairy Tale Weddings, Holiday Magic 2:11:30 a.m. Jingle All the Way 1:35 p.m. Christmas with the Cranks 3:40 p.m. Disney's A Christmas Carol 5:50 p.m. Home Alone 8:20 p.m. Home Alone 2. Lost in New York 12 a.m. Jingle All the Way 2 Friday, Dec. 4:07 a.m. Disney's Fairy Tale Weddings, Holiday Magic 8:05 a.m. The Preacher's Wife 10:45 a.m. Christmas with the Cranks 12:50 p.m. Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas 2:30 p.m. The Santa Claus 4:40 p.m. The Santa Claus 2 7:10 p.m. The Santa Claus 3. The Escape Clause 9:15 p.m. Doctor Although to be fair, Travis Fimmel was an equal draw. And that's the thing. I definitely think in a game like Valhalla where you can play as a male or female protagonist no non-binary options as yet, that you could afford to have both on the box art. Maybe just put them both on there, maybe do a 50-50 split on covers, there are a variety of ways you could do it. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas 2001 1:55 p.m. Deck the Halls 2006 Saturday, Dec. Again, Cyberpunk 2077 is just barely better and it manages to have female V on some of the promo art at least. But as long as companies keep trotting out women don't sell as an excuse after making very little effort to promote them, we're going to be doomed to a game landscape dominated by bellowing screamy-faced guys. I'm just saying let the women scream their heads off while burying axes in people's necks too. Lady Eivor rips people in half. 5:07 a.m. The Preacher's Wife 9:40 a.m. Deck the Halls 2006 1:45 a.m. Prancer returns 1:50 p.m. Jingle All the Way 3:55 p.m. Doctor I don't see a reason she can't do it on the box. There shouldn't still be a debate about whether or not women in video games can do what women in real life lived and died doing. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas 2006 35 p.m. Santa Claus is Comin' to Town 7:40 p.m. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer 8:45 p.m. Frosty the Snowman 9:20 p.m. The Santa Claus 11:30 p.m. The Santa Claus 2 Sunday, Dec. 6:07 a.m. Decorating Disney, Holiday Magic 8 a.m. Prancer returns 10:10 a.m. Jingle All the Way 12:15 p.m. Disney's A Christmas Carol 2:20 p.m. Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas 4 p.m. Santa Claus is Comin' to Town 5:05 p.m. Frosty the Snowman 5:40 p.m. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer 6:45 p.m. Home Alone 9:15 p.m. Home Alone 2. Lost in New York 11:55 p.m. The Santa Claus 3. The Escape Clause Monday, Dec. 7:12 p.m. The Holiday 3:10 p.m. Love Actually 6:20 p.m. The Santa Claus 8:30 p.m. The Santa Claus 2:12 a.m. Christmas with the Cranks Tuesday, Dec. 8:07 a.m. Christmas with the Cranks 10:30 a.m. Love Actually 1:35 p.m. The Preacher's Wife 4:10 p.m. The Perfect Holiday 6:15 p.m. The Santa Claus 3. The Escape Clause 8:20 p.m. Almost Christmas, Freeform premiere 12 a.m. Black Nativity Wednesday, Dec. 9:10:30 a.m. Disney's Fairy Tale Weddings, Holiday Magic 11:30 a.m. Prancer returns 1:40 p.m. Disney's A Christmas Carol 3:50 p.m. The Star 2017, Freeform premiere 5:50 p.m. Home Alone 8:20 p.m. Home Alone 2. Lost in New York 12 a.m. Prancer returns Thursday, Dec. 10:07 a.m. The Simpsons Christmas Episodes Marathon 10:30 a.m. The Star 2017-12. 30 p.m. The Santa Claus 2:30 p.m. The Santa Claus 2 4:35 p.m. The Santa Claus 3. The Escape Clause 6:40 p.m. Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas 8:20 p.m. Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas 2001 2 Christmas with the Cranks Friday, Dec. 11:07 a.m. Decorating Disney, Holiday Magic 8 a.m. Snow 10 a.m. Snow 2. Brain Freeze 12 p.m. Snow Globe 2 p.m. Christmas with the Cranks 4:05 p.m. Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas 2006 4:45 p.m. Home Alone 9:15 p.m. Home Alone 2 Lost in New York 11:55 p.m. Daddy's Home 2 Freeform premiere Saturday, Dec. 12:07 a.m. The Simpsons Christmas episodes marathon 8 a.m. Daddy's Home 2 10:05 a.m. The Santa Claus 12:15 p.m. The Santa Claus 2 2:45 p.m. The Santa Claus 3 The Escape Clause 4:50 p.m. Toy Story 6:50 p.m. Toy Story 2 8:55 p.m. Toy Story 3 11:25 p.m. Toy Story The Time Forgot 11:55 p.m. Disney's A Christmas Carol Sunday, Dec.
13:07 a.m. Love the Coopers 9:30 a.m. Toy Story That Time Forgot 10 a.m. Prancer Returns 12 p.m. Disney's A Christmas Carol 2:05 p.m. Home Alone 4:35 p.m. Home Alone 2, Lost in New York 7:15 p.m. The Santa Claus 9:25 p.m. The Santa Claus 2 11:55 p.m. The Santa Claus 3, The Escape Clause Monday, Dec. 14:07 a.m. Prancer Returns 10:30 a.m. The Perfect Holiday 12:35 p.m. Almost Christmas 3:10 p.m. Home Alone 5:40 p.m. Home Alone 2 Lost in New York 8:20 p.m. Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas 2001 2 am The Perfect Holiday Tuesday, Dec. 15:10:30 a.m. The Magic Snowflake 12 p.m. Jingle All the Way to 2 p.m. Christmas with the Cranks 4:05 p.m. Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas 5:45 p.m. Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas 2008 25 p.m. Disney's A Christmas Carol 10:30 p.m. Prep and Landing, Naughty vs. Nice 12 a.m. Jingle All the Way to Wednesday, Dec. 16:11:30 a.m. Christmas with the Cranks 1:35 p.m. Miracle on 34th Street 1994 4:15 p.m. The Santa Claus 6:25 p.m. The Santa Claus 2 8:55 p.m. The Santa Claus 3, The Escape Clause 12 a.m. Black Nativity Thursday, Dec. 17:07 a.m. The Simpsons Christmas episodes marathon 10:30 a.m. The Little Drummer Boy 1968-11 am Miracle on 34th Street 1994 1:40 p.m. The Nutcracker and the Four Realms 3:45 p.m. Disney's A Christmas Carol 5:40 p.m. Home Alone 8:20 p.m. Home Alone 2, Lost in New York 12 a.m. Life Size 2, A Christmas Eve Friday, Dec. 18:07 a.m. Holiday in Handcuffs 9:05 a.m. The Holiday 12:15 p.m. Disney's A Christmas Carol 2:20 p.m. The Santa Claus 4:25 p.m. The Santa Claus 2 6:55 p.m. The Santa Claus 3, The Escape Clause 9 p.m. Dr. Seuss's The Grinch 2018 Freeform premiere 11 p.m. The Star 2017 1 am The Simpsons Christmas episodes marathon Saturday, Dec. 19:07 a.m. Kung Fu Panda Holiday 7:30 a.m. The Little Drummer Boy 1968 8 am The Star 2017 10 5 a.m. Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas 11:45 a.m. Home Alone 2:15 p.m. Home Alone 2, Lost in New York 4:55 p.m. Frosty the Snowman 5:30 p.m. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer 6:35 p.m. Dr. Seuss's The Grinch 2018 8:40 p.m. Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas 2001 20 p.m. Miracle on 34th Street 1994 Sunday, Dec. 27 a.m. The Simpsons Christmas episodes marathon 9:30 a.m. Miracle on 34th Street 1994 12 10 p.m. Jingle All the Way to 2:20 p.m. Santa Claus is Comin' to Town 3:25 p.m. Frosty the Snowman 4 p.m. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer 5:05 p.m. Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas 2007 45 p.m. Home Alone 10:15 p.m. Home Alone 2, Lost in New York 12:55 a.m. Santa Claus is Comin' to Town Monday, Dec. 21:10:30 a.m. Jingle All the Way to 12:30 p.m. Miracle on 34th Street 1994 3 p.m. Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas 4:30 p.m. The Santa Claus 6:30 p.m. The Santa Claus 2 9 p.m. The Santa Claus 3, The Escape Clause 12 a.m. Christmas with the Cranks Tuesday, Dec. 22:07 a.m. Santa's Apprentice 8:30 a.m. Miracle on 34th Street 1994 11 am The Perfect Holiday 1 p.m. Christmas with the Cranks 3:05 p.m. Disney's A Christmas Carol 5:10 p.m. Home Alone 7:40 p.m. Home Alone 2, Lost in New York 10:20 p.m. The Night Before, Freeform premiere 12:30 a.m. The Simpsons Christmas episodes marathon Wednesday, Dec. 23 7:30 a.m. Life-size 2, A Christmas Eve 9:30 a.m. The Mistletoes 11:30 a.m. Holiday in Handcuffs 1:30 p.m. The Santa Claus 3:35 p.m. The Santa Claus 2 6:05 p.m. The Santa Claus 3, The Escape Clause 8:10 p.m. Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas 2000 10:50 p.m. Santa Claus is Comin' to Town 11:55 p.m. Prancer returns Thursday, Dec. 24/7 a.m. The Simpsons Christmas Episodes Marathon 10:30 a.m. Prancer returns 12:30 p.m. Home Alone 3 p.m. Home Alone 2, Lost in New York 5:35 p.m. Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas 2008, 15 p.m. Frosty the Snowman 8:50 p.m. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer 9:55 p.m. Santa Claus is Comin' to Town 12 a.m. The Simpsons Christmas Episodes Marathon Friday, Dec. 25/7 a.m. The Simpsons Christmas Episodes Marathon 10:30 a.m. The Santa Claus 12:30 p.m. The Santa Claus 2 2:30 p.m. The Santa Claus 3, The Escape Clause 4:30 p.m. Frosty the Snowman 5 p.m. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer 6 p.m. Home Alone 8:30 p.m. Home Alone 2, Lost in New York Cool posts from around the web.